So, this is a simple type of square wave generator or oscillator, we call it like this. It consists of basically a voltage divider. Often this portion in our lab or this one in our circuits, what we do is that we keep it a potentiometer. Here it is R1, then this portion is R2. Like this. So we can have a, instead of a resistive potentiometer, a capacitive potentiometer as well. We have a capacitive potentiometer as well. So, in this case for resistive divider, we get this will generate a frequency, and the frequency is dependent upon give this is equal to 1 by RC log natural 1 plus 2R1 by R2. Okay. So this is R1 and this is R2. So this was our A of this one, and it will at this output we will get a square wave output, and the frequency of the square wave will depend upon R into C into log natural 1 plus 2R1 by R2. So first of all, then definitely it depends upon C. We could have used, one way is that this instead of this C, you place a capacitive sensor. So the frequency will be dependent upon the variation of the capacitance, the frequency we can measure it. Or if we want to have a push-pull type configuration, so instead of this is a what we call it a resistive divider, we can have a capacitive divider. That means this is two fixed plates and one is moving plate. If it goes here or it goes there, the voltage picked up at this point would be varying. So this is basically a potential divider, and like this here. And say, if I say that this capacitance is varying in terms of the displacement x, we can deduce, and the square wave generator, for square wave generator, we can at this one, instead of frequency, I can say the time period, all the same, is equal to 2RC into log natural 1 plus x divided by 1 minus x. So x is the basically the capacitance C1 and C2 and C2. These are functions of x, linear functions of x. So it can be shown in this way. So here also in the push-pull configuration, we can have this sort of area. So we have simply much simpler circuit, construct an oscillator, which will give you by either making a capacitive divider or by making even this C varying like this here. And as the input to the sensor changes, the frequency will change, and just measure the frequency and we can relate with the capacitance in the frequency. So the oscillator type, the major advantage is that it can go to a very high frequency also, and the second thing is also the circuit is simple, but only problem is that these are performance depends upon this R and this C, like this. Suppose I am using this one. If R and C are are not exactly as it is designed, the capacitor, the frequency will change. So the frequency, or we can say it is not that stable, not that frequency is not that stable, because any change of R and C, these two, due to some external factors, may vary the frequency. Otherwise, this is the most suitable or most simple type of sensing, but its accuracy is probably a little bit less than the capacitive amplifier. Is it clear? Any question? Any question? So we have already got it. Now it is what we will discuss is another type of capacitive amplifier, with which I will conclude the different circuits and there totally. That is basically a type of capacitive amplifier which is switched capacitance type capacitive amplifier. There are several configurations for this switch capacitance type capacitive amplifier, but I will be considering only the simple one. If we recall that the basic elementary capacitive amplifier for the sensing, it was like this. This is one here there. Configuration which is there. And also, okay, this is your sensor there. As I told that the scheme is simple, but there would be some resistance put in there, and we will have to take care of the what we call it parasitic capacitor. But the major difficulty or the area, while we try to implement these schemes in a IC or very in an IC or very small integrated small part of the big circuits and etc. The major problem is always that this is fine for making it on a using the op amps and etc. But whenever you try to make it, so for this signal generator, you will have to place another signal generator. I mean, you will have to, all are integrated circuits. So in that circuit itself, there had be a sine wave generator, we will have to put it. And you know the sine wave generator will require a good amount of circuit space and all the things there. So obviously the generation of sine wave is not so simple. We'll have to, you must have seen or possibly in were taught in the measurement center. So instead of that one, what we can do is that a switch capacitance type. What is there? If we also, for justification normally, have you heard of this one, switch capacitance filter? Have you heard of switch capacitance filter? Anybody?
No, sir.
No. So basically, the idea is that actually, if we go for the integrated a filter embedded in an integrated circuit, often it is all in an IC, several filters are there. So suppose a low pass filter. What is there? We will have to have a suppose RF, it is R1 like this. So we'll have to use a resistance as well as capacitance. And if we have a, so it is a low pass filter, but here it is a fast order filter. And this fast order filter, but actual good filter, what we require is basically a fourth order filter, fifth order filter, or like this there, where the cutoff is much sharper than like this. So that requires a good amount of components, that resistance and capacitance and like this. And whenever we are using a resistance, definitely there will be some current through it, and as a result, there would be a power loss and heat generation. So, if you know the basic philosophy, or you can easily understand from your common knowledge or like this common sense, that if we have a too many resistance in an IC, that will take space, and also the major issue is that will cause a power consumption, that will increase the generated heat or like this. So naturally, this sort of thing, when we implement these filters in an IC and like this there, what we try is that try to replace this resistance by some switch capacitance. Okay. Basically, it is some capacitance, you can say, suppose, this I am not remembering the circuit, but if it is a resistance there, if you can have some sort of switches which are S1 and S2, which are sequentially operated, there is a capacitance. It can be shown that this configuration represents a resistance. Actually, if you can equivalent, if you please go through any book or very basic book or like this, you will find this capacitance you can replace the resistance using some sort of switch capacitance. So with a capacitance and few switches which has to be operated in sequence. So one after another or like this there. Okay. So what will happen is that S1 will be closed, the circuit will be charged with some voltage, then S2 will be closed, then it will be transferred to some other gate. Ratan Raj, it is 8:20. Please join on time. Okay. So this same concept is being tried here. That is a switch capacitance, that here we will use some capacitance, but we will switch it, and in turn we will see that we don't require any AC sinusoidal voltage. We can use a DC voltage itself, and so the circuit will become much more simpler. So that is called, and also we can eliminate many of the, we can incorporate many other features. So what is the switch capacitance sensor? And so this switch capacitance its advantage is that compatible to CMOS process. So now, I mean, all the ICs and their analog ICs are used as CMOS process. So naturally, you can integrate it and all of them with this one. And we'll see that we don't require any source or anything there. And it is much more simpler. And just only a DC voltage and some switching operations. And switching operation can be done by using some sort of clocks. So let us see how does it work. Okay. So here the basic thing is that you are, this is a CS capacitance, and we don't require any extra there, extra sinusoidal voltage or something there. It is simply a voltage, DC voltage connected, that is a VR, and a switch which is operated by some output, I mean some excitation, that is some sort of clock. So if the clock is high, the S1 is at position 1. If the clock is low, say suppose S1 is, this switch is at position 1. So we require a simple DC voltage and a clock there. So these are all very easy to generate, particularly using the CMOS process. Okay. Now, we are similarly, so we have two switches. When the clock is high, the switch's position is 1. If the clock is high, S2 position is at 1. And if it is low, it is S1 is at 2. And if it is high, I mean it is low, S2 is low, it is just connected opposite area. Am I clear? Now let us try to see that how does it work. So S1 and S2 are CMOS analog switches. CMOS analog switches. So basically it is something like this. If some control voltage or clock is there, if this is high, these two input and outputs, they are shorted. If it is low, it is open. It is something that is a 1 or 2 or like this. And so this is a clock which is driving. When S1 and S2 are at position 1, then what is happening? That VR, it is connected to VR. This point is a virtual ground, and the output of the capacitor, the feedback capacitor, path is shorted. So naturally, what we can say is that Vijay, class starts at 8 o'clock. What happened? Vijay? Please tell something. Vijay. Please tell me what is the problem? Are you hearing or just putting it on? Vijay? I don't know. Don't simply respond. Neither you write anything there. Yes, I would like to find out what is the problem. Are you there in Vijay in the class? Or somebody has clicked it? You can join. Strange. That means you are not listening, and somebody you have told somebody, and he has clicked you and made it join. This is not the thing there. If you try to play there, very intelligent or like this there, I can also play it. That's not the way. Please convey. I don't think Abhijay is there. So all of you are. What happened to you? What is the time?
Sorry, sir, I joined it.
You were not here. You just clicked it and then left. That's not the way. Let's try to be on time. Because it is also disturbing. When S1 and S2 are position 1, then what will happen? This CF is shorted. So, if CF is shorted, naturally, if this point voltage is 0, then what will happen? V0 is equal to 0. And what will happen? This one is connected to VR, that is the reference voltage. So, CX, I called it, CX is charged to plus VR voltage. So, charge stored in CF. What is it? Basically, this point left hand side is the voltage VR, right hand side is the voltage 0 volt. It is virtually ground. So, what is the charge? It is CX into VR. And that is a charge stored. Is it okay? And if there is any residual capacitance there, it doesn't have much effect because this is at 0 volt and this is connected, any capacitance, this is connected to the voltage VR here. Okay. And this is area. Now, if S1 and S2 are at position 2, what will happen? this point is grounded, left hand side, right hand side is also grounded. So definitely both the points are grounded, then the charge, both the points of charge cannot be there because two terminals of the capacitance are shorted. So naturally charge cannot be there. And there is a, if it is shorted at it is at position 2, then definitely V0 cannot be, it should not be 0 or like this because it is not shorted. So this where this charge will go. This charge Q, that is basically Q, is transferred to CF. So basically, as soon as I connect these two and this is open, this charge cannot be across the capacitance CH, and this charge will be simply be transferred to this one across CF. And if it is across CF, some voltage would be developed, that is a G0 across the G0. So we can say what is the relationship, what is the charge? U is equal to Cx into VR, that is equal to Cf into V0. That is the charge is stored across the Cf. So whole charge goes over here. And so we have V0 is equal to Cx by Cf into. So you can see the V0 here it would be there definitely. There would be some sort of area there. When S1 is at 1, V0 would be 0. When S1 at 2, this will be like this. There would be a voltage like this, square wave voltage, and this magnitude of this square wave will be dependent upon the value of Cx. Will be dependent on the value of Cx. And obviously we can do further rectify it, this convert it to DC and do all. So the major advantage is that you see just by putting some switches and operating that one, the circuit becomes much more simplified. And also you can see this one that these two capacitance, parasitic capacitance effect will also be can be reduced there. And obviously I have shown it for a single capacitor, but for a push-pull configuration also there is some simple circuit. So the switch capacitance configuration is often used for this sensing like this. And not only that, please know that this switch capacitance filter is is an integral part of any IC, analog IC like this. So all filter circuits will be are basically the switch capacitance one. And that major advantage is that the resistances are not there. So they are replaced by the switch capacitance. And that reduces the power consumption, heat loss in it, and the power consumption in the IC. Okay. So these are the major types of circuits and schemes I have shown it, but there are quite few more. I am not going to that complexities online. Is it okay? Any questions?
Sir, are all resistors replaced by capacitor switches?
Pardon?
Sir, are all resistors replaced by capacitor switches?
Mostly. Almost all.
Okay.
You find, I mean, basic books you just find out, electronics books, Millman Gravel, Telegraph Smith, or like this, or any other filter book also. Active filter. You have studied passive filter mostly, but active firmware like Valkenburg and Schwarm, I think, and Schwarm or like this, some German name I forgot. there is a lot of activity, field test design, and there are, they have shown it how to implement it into using active field.
Okay.
Any other question? So, I would be closing this one, but before that, I will be some application, some typical sensor configuration I will be discussing.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
Sir, here we saw the effect of kind of a square wave input on the whole circuit. How would the effect differ if we input a sinusoidal wave? Like where
What's
there
your
is
name?
Sir, my name is Swarnim Raj.
Huh? Swapnil Raj.
Swarnim.
Huh?
Swarnim. Swarnim.
Swapnil. Okay. So, what is the question? You are telling that if I use it, we are getting an output of square wave like this here. And
Yes,
what
sir. So if the input is square wave, the output is also square wave with the same frequency. And no like there is no phase difference. Like there's nothing, no what to say, negative multiplier like that. But what would be the output if we input like a sinusoidal wave? Will there be some kind of phase shift?
Okay. You see, your question is good one. Your point is that in those cases, what we are doing in those cases, we are using phase sensitive detector, isn't it? To get it, this is your input. That means that is basically V0 in this case. And we have got a reference. And this is what our D0 DC. Was it like that? So it was a input voltage, magnitude is varying, and the reference what we did, same input voltage and the same frequency input voltage, I just put it as a comparator and do the things there. And do the phase sensitive detection. So it will be like this, or is it true? And your question is that how would you perform this job in this case? Is it?
Yes, sir.
And that's an interesting and very valid question here. You can easily understand that as the value of Cx changes, the voltage will change. Your question is that whether I will be, the Cx is increasing or Cx is decreasing. How would I decide? Any answer to it? Any answer to it? The answer is simple, because here what we have a V0, it is coming here from those circuit here, and here also we would be using a phase sensitive detector like this here to get a DC value. So the question is that what would be the reference or reference voltage here? It can be simply the clock. Clock means basically when the switch is high and the switch is low. So this is 0 and this is 1. So accordingly, the same thing we are having like this. Afterwards, we had sinusoidal voltage, we had put it into a comparator, got this voltage, but this clock will be like this here. And so whether the voltage is increasing or decreasing depends upon that. But 2 points are there, minded here. All the things are based on 0 voltage. It is not coming beyond this 0 voltage. So there is a basically, if I use a 5 volt and 0 supply, here it would be simply, say suppose 0 to 5 volt or like this maximum 5 volt, but this magnitude will be varying. So there is something, if it is a 5 volt supply, some 2.5 volt bias has to be given. It's slightly complicated, possibly I can tell you as a case study afterwards. So what I wanted to say, what is your point, here the reference, we can pass it to the clock itself here. And the second thing is that normally this CMOS process, and in this case the output will be between 0 and 5 volt or like this, only the phase will vary. And basically if it is a 5 volt or like this, we just put some sort of bias of 2.5 volt in this. But a little bit what you are rightly pointed out, that things are little bit complicated than it is looks like. But at the same time, you know, if we want to use a CMOS amplifier or like this, all the things, most of them are basically unipolar. So not the bipolar. So those for the schemes for the unipolar, they can also be incorporated. Many of the op-amps you will find not required a supply of plus minus 12 volt, but they can work on, say suppose 0 to 24 volt, that is LM 1 to 4, or I think most probably like this there. They have got a 0 to plus 5 volt or 0 to 12 volt or like this. So naturally that is there that can be the amplification of voltage is also possible with the CMOS amplifier. So that thing has to be done. If I get time, I will explain it afterwards. But you can find out also the schemes where basically the volt amplification is being done, but the using an unipolar area. Because op-amps 741, okay, it is fine, or the using discrete component. But whenever you go for the ICs and etc., the situation changes completely. And basically what happens is that you will have to use unipolar op-amp for amplification, filtering and all other things there. So naturally there is a, basically we shift it by VDD by 2, every voltage, analog voltage, we shift it by VDD 2 by 2 and do that. Okay. If I get time, I will give you some case study and afterwards, because we are also rushing with fighting with time. Any other question?
Sir, like in the previous case, we were having an amplitude modulated wave. So in this case, how will the waveform look like in case of square wave?
And that all, what is the envelope? That depends upon
K
what
rate.
is x. That depends upon what is x. So if x is sinusoidal of definitely a low frequency, so what will be the output? It would be same envelope, but here it will be but at the same it would be like this, but here this will not be at 0 volt, but maybe 5 volt. I mean 2.5 volt. That means it is VDD by 2. So that the lower point is 0 volt and the upper point is 5 volt. It is complicated one. Actually, if we really go into the actual implementation, it is not easy as we see like this there. And mind it, all the circuits in actual cases in ICs and etc. signal conditioning circuits are basically they employ this sort of CMOS process and they shift it. Any other question? Neha, are you satisfied or not satisfied?
Yes,
You,
sir.
you try to see that one, look into it, but definitely, as I told, that this one, once we use a CMOS amplifier, the things will be slightly more complicated. But it is acceptable since we are reducing a lot of power, uh, and we can integrate many more circuits in a small area.
Yes, sir.
So we have seen many here there, some many applications of this CMOS, uh, I mean the capacitive sensors as well. So few things, few types of application, further applications I can have it. For the sensor diagram, I just did it. One is this proximity sensors is very important and nowadays very much useful and like this because often we use a robot and the robots have got many proximity sensors because if it is moving, if something comes very nearby, it must have to sense and then simply stop or change its trajectory because this is very important because otherwise the robot may damage or say human operator who is working near the robot, he may be robot may hit him and all that thing. So a proximity sensor is very useful and important and for this one. And naturally with a capacitive sensor we can do it because it is very small inside. So what we do is that two metal plates, cylindrical and they like this, and there is a gap, dielectric gap in between. So they are all circular, and I have put some two terminals A and B there, and this is your target there, which is target means something is coming nearby. If it is X is less than that, it should be, that means it has come too close and definitely it has any movement and etc. Or some alarm has to be at least given by it. So what is happening is that actually, if we look at it, these are all the circuits are here. So it looks like this. So this is the face of the proximity sensor, and this is the actually output. So the battery, all the processing circuits and all the things are there. And say suppose a body which is the object, maybe grounded or maybe floating like this, there would be connecting like this. So these are capacitance, through this capacitance, so basically through this capacitance, they would be coupling, drawing some flux and etc. And so this capacitance, and also between this point A and B, there would be a capacitance. There would be some capacitance in this between A and B, basically. This is A and this is B. B means, okay, I think, okay, this point I can say that this is, okay. Equivalent circuit. So first of all, this is your body. This capacitance is this one. This capacitance is this one. And there is a fixed, these are varied, but there is a fixed capacitance between A and B, which is due to this length here. And there is, this is your object. So overall, whatever I wanted to say, if the object is coming close to the sensor, what will happen? The capacitance will change, and that capacitance, we have got ample number of capacitance measuring circuit, and so this circuit I can detect it, and if it goes beyond something, beyond a particular voltage or limit here, we can put an warn, alarm, or just stop it and trip it or avoid many accidents. This is one of the things which we are just trying to see. Another thing is also very important, unlike this there. Vibration measurement. Actually, the scheme is very small size. I have told you about MEMS, micro electromechanical systems. Sometimes it is called MEMS capacitive accelerometer. It is something like this, you know, the seismograph. With those things will be taught afterwards. What is seismograph used? Where is it used in seismograph?
Earthquakes.
For earthquake measurement. So what we have actually a mass which rests on a spring and a damper, and the body is being placed over where it is vibrating or like this, then there would be a relative motion of the mass between this body and the mass there. And this one gives you basically a relative motion. Now, if I measure x0, I can get an estimate of xi. That is what is called seismograph. Similar thing, it is also used for acceleration measurement. So, accelerometer or like this. So, there must be some mass and spring, and damper is normally, if you can use it, damping is naturally small, even air damping will also. So, what is happening if I just put some, just I am showing you like this here. Say suppose this is your spring, maybe it's very small, thin, this is also your spring here. Very small, thin type of wire or some plate or like this, and there is in between hangs a mass here. Okay, in between hangs a mass there. And this whole body, which is connected to the spring and like this, is subjected, say suppose a vibration, a force, if it is given upward. Then what will happen to the mass movement? Mass will try to give you, if the force is upward, the spring will try to bend it downward. So the mass will try to come down. Mass will come down like this. And if I place some sort of say suppose this two things. This is called fingers. These are call it fixed finger. So what is that fixed finger? That means they are embedded in it. It is fixed like this. Whole finger is fixed like this. Say suppose like this. And I connect another finger, which is this one, we call it a moving finger. That means two fingers are there, and this is a terminal here, A, and this one may be another terminal, B. All are metallic plates. So what will happen? If this is two fixed fingers here, and the mass goes down, what will happen? This will come below. This will come below. This finger, moving finger, will come below. So what will happen? The capacitance, rather I will not show it in this way, I just put it, this terminal here, A, B, and this one I call it C there. So this is connected, moving finger is connected, basically they are all conducting surface. We can have a something like this. A, C, and B there. What is happening? B is that point, you can say, this is C and this is your A. So what will happen? If it comes down, the capacitance between A and B, these 2 points, these 2 plates, it will increase because the gap has decreased. And the capacitance between B and C will decrease. So we can have some sort of differential capacitance. And these are all very small size, less than a millimeter size, all of them. Gap between them is around 2 micrometer or around 2.5 micrometer. And basically, using a capacitive sensor, the change in capacitance is in femtofarad level. You can have a MEMS capacitive accelerometer. These things we'll be studying afterwards or like this. So, using this capacitance, we can have a number of things here. Okay, we'll give you a break, 5 minutes break, then we'll come back and possibly we'll take up some other topic or like this, and before that maybe we'll discuss about 1 or 2 problems here. Any questions? Okay, I will take it up afterwards, but I would like to remind you that you must don't think that you, if you are very passive and don't just put it on and it appears that it is, I am attending classes, that will not solve your problem. And here there, at the end of it, apart from the test and quiz, I will take viva for each of the students. So your understanding, since I am not being able to assess your understanding, how much you are following, so I will have to take the viva. I will tell you that no, here there schedule after that, after the holidays. After this. First of all, let me give 5 minutes break, then we'll see that. Okay? So we'll meet at around 9:08 or 9:10. Okay? Got to grace up.